you sick and tired of not being able to grab into chord shapes when you want them and when you need them? If so, this video will break down one of the best methods I've ever come across for mastering chords on the guitar in record time. So if you want to learn a great way to master any chord, then stick with me for this week's Guitar Blog Insider. Guitar players need to be able to perform all kinds of different chords, major chords, minor chords, seventh chords, extended, suspended, altered. Basically, the more musical situations that we play in, the more chords we're going to need to know. And the chord types can really add up. So in order to be able to handle all the different chord types that'll show up in all types of music that we're going to need to play, we absolutely have to develop a learning strategy that can bring the chords up to speed in our playing as quickly as possible. Well, this brings us to our method, and in order to be able to build muscle programming and mental programming for recalling the chords that you're going to need, you'll have to have a system. And one system that I've used here at Creative Guitar for many years now with my own personal students is a method I've nicknamed the on-off chord switching drill. You're probably wondering, well, why do you call it a drill? It sounds like something you're doing in a military scenario. Well, the term drill is kind of a military term, and in that context, it means to not just develop gathered information, but to impress the developed ability into the human body to be able to have it react to the training of that information. And when it comes to using chords in a song, we need to have those chords and those shapes all happen very fast, and they have to happen perfectly without any effort going into it whatsoever. Okay, now let's start running through the method. Now the first thing, step number one, you want to select a chord that you need to better develop in your playing, and you're going to use that chord as one that you're going to work with. And it could be one that's unfamiliar to you. It could even maybe be a chord that you've had trouble with in the past. It could be a chord type that you never make properly when you're going through songs, or one that you seem to constantly flub, every time you go to create the shape on the guitar neck. All right, now step number two is going to be to visualize yourself playing the chord perfectly, and visualize the shape in your mind clearly. Close your eyes if you have to and see, hear, and feel that chord on the guitar fingerboard. Make sure that in your visualization, as you're doing it, you are playing that chord with ease and with perfection. Everything about how that chord sits on the neck should be absolutely perfect when you do your visualization. When it comes to online guitar lessons, there's no place better than CreativeGuitarStudio.com. General membership to the site is always free, and paid memberships to access our step-by-step beginner, intermediate, and advanced guitar programs are offered in reasonable monthly and annual packages. Skype lessons are also available if you need more specific instruction one-on-one to discuss the finer details of your guitar playing. Sign up today at CreativeGuitarStudio.com. In step number three, we're going to create the chord shape on the fingerboard. So develop a fingering for a chord you want to work on. Just have it remain as perfect and calm and relaxed of a layout of the tones as you can. Do your best to just slowly and perfectly relax your fingers onto the fretboard. Notice how your hand naturally chooses to fall. Notice the position of your thumb and how your wrist is angled. If everything works and the chord is well fingered and well positioned, you're done this step. However, if the fingering just doesn't feel right, if it feels kind of terrible, if you can't reach to the chord tones correctly, start working at changing things. Look at the position of everything you can think of. And this includes how you're sitting, maybe readjust how you're sitting in your chair, how your wrist is angled, that there's no tension in your hand anywhere. Where's your thumb placed? Maybe try and move the thumb around to different areas of the back of the neck. Just do what you need to do for the chord pattern to really begin taking a much better shape on the fingerboard. And this even includes sliding the chord shape possibly over to other areas of the guitar neck. Step number four is basically phase one of actually doing the on-off drill, but with fretting hand only. We're not going to be strumming or anything at this point. Just relax your hand away from the fingerboard, then bring the hand onto the neck to create the chord pattern that you selected for your drill. Make the fingering function as best as you possibly can. Pay a lot of attention to what the strings feel like under the tips of each finger. But at this time, you're not actually going to strum the chord just yet. You're just creating the most accurate fingering shape possible. Then next, just remove your fingers off the neck and relax the hand. Take a moment to reflect on how you did when you created the fingering. Was it absolutely perfect, just like you visualized in the previous step? Did the strings feel good under your fingertips? If you would have strummed the chord, would it have been ringing out nicely? And finally, ask yourself, was there anything that you could have done to improve upon? And at that point, maybe do a repetition of around 10 cycles of going on and off the neck with that particular chord shape that you're practicing. No strumming yet, just going on and off the neck. Well, in step number 5, we're going to involve the full application with the fretting and the strumming. So it's kind of like phase 2 of the on-off drill. And at this point, your technique for creating the chord fingering on the neck should be at a decent level of skill. The feel of the chord, and its geometry should also be well acquainted to you by now. The next phase of all this is going to begin doing several on-off repetitions, including the strum across the strings, to really begin to drill the chord shape and get the clarity of sound, the layout on the fingerboard, the quality of the sound is a big factor here, but we just want to get that chord strumming with the strumming hand at this stage. You want to integrate both hands, in other words, and pay a lot of attention to accuracy. The strum hand should be striking the correct string sets, and you shouldn't, be hitting very many flub notes in most of the cases. Also, you want to pay a lot of particular attention to how the chord sounds. Are the notes clear, and is every string ringing as perfectly as possible? You can kind of do a drop pick method if you wanted to get the resonance of each string, just very clear. Does each finger feel accurately placed upon the string? How does your hand feel when it moves away from the neck, and then how does it feel when it comes back to the neck? So all these factors, all this question and answers that you're going to run yourself through, this is really going to be where you're going to excel and speeding up the whole process of getting these chords under your fingers. So all you'll be doing is something like this: on the chord, off the chord, on the chord, and off the chord. If you want to do the drop picking method like that, you can do that too. It's just on and off. Do it for about 25 times. Well, as you can imagine, you're going to need some repetition to burn in these chords for your muscle memory to develop and for the automatic response of the chords to take place that you're studying. But over time, you'll have faster and faster responses to this, and the return to the perfect chord grip will be getting easier and easier as time goes on. Most chords will require between 150 to 200 repetitions just to build that base for them. And then after around 1,000 cycles through these exercises, your chords are going to become total second nature to you at that point. You won't even have to think about them. Bam, they'll just happen for you on the neck. 1,000 cycles works out to approximately around a month's worth of practice time. So, there's not a lot of time that you really have to put into this. And as this goes on and you master the technique of doing this type of a grip exercise that we're talking about here, you're going to find that the routine will get easier and easier because your skill level will build over as well. So what'll happen is new chords that you need to develop skills for will actually take less time to master. Instead of 1,000 cycles, you'll probably, down the road be able to master them in about 500 or so. So I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on all this in the comments section. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll catch up with you next week on my other channel for another episode of the Guitar Blog Insider. If you want to learn the modes and get a really good understanding for how they can be used musically to write songs, play a solo, or compose melody lines, then you're in luck. My ebook, Using the Major Scale Modes, is a comprehensive manuscript outlining exactly how modes are used in respect to harmony and to compose or improvise melodic ideas. Over 50 pages of scale patterns, example progressions, and music theory all come together to create a comprehensive method on how to use the modes that's easy to understand. Using the Major Scale Modes is available for instant download in the View Our Products area at creativeguitarstudio.com. I've got 25 years experience teaching guitar and have written a well-organized step-by-step guitar course. Head over to my website at creativeguitarstudio.com and sign up for a free membership today. Join the thousands of members worldwide who have already enrolled. There's no need to try learning the guitar on your own. Let me help you become the best guitar player that you can be.